Hello everybody, my name is Martin Brewer and I'm the product manager for Silverline WAF Express, and today I'm going to be walking through a product demonstration of its capabilities. Now WAF Express has been created with the Agile persona in mind, and what we're talking about here is the customer that wants to take advantage of advanced security and wants to place it in front of their application, but perhaps they're not as knowledgeable or understands all the nuances of building security policies. And so this product is built specifically for them. So once a customer has actually signed up for the WAF Express service, they will receive the customer email. In that email, it will contain a link allowing them to go forth and start setting up their service. Now we have changed the experience a little bit to make it a good deal easier. And I'm just going to show you what those changes are. So a customer logs in for the first time, and as you can see, they're now greeted with a different page. Ordinarily, they'd be taken through to the dashboard page, but bear in mind this is their first time into the system. And so what we do here is bring them through to a page where we get a pop-up, and in that pop-up, it gives you information such as the subscription level, whether you are an Express customer or managed, the expiration date of your service, and then a very simple button to actually start adding proxies into the product, because a proxy, such as a WAF proxy, is where all of the configuration is going to be loaded. And so since we know that there is no configuration yet on which we can build statistics or indeed anything to build a dashboard, let's take them through to this page first. So on this next section, I'm going to walk you through provisioning a proxy and showing you the simplification that we have made in this area. Okay, so I've now clicked the Add button from that pop-up, and I'm now taken through to the proxy configuration page. This is my first proxy, so let's get started. First thing we have to do is enter in the back-end IP addresses or FQDNs of the server or servers that I'm protecting. I'm going to enter that in here. I'm then going to enter the domain name that I'm protecting, so www.silverlinewafexpress.com. Then we have the policy that we're going to place on this particular proxy. Now, in the past, and with the managed product, the policy is created specific to the application. However, in Express, we've simplified the experience. The SOC have actually pre-created policies for all the popular combinations of operating system and stack. So all the customer has to do is come through here and pick one that actually maps onto the server and stack type that they are running. So very, very straightforward. Next, you have the two areas for covering HTTP and HTTPS, SSL. The HTTP is pretty straightforward because the only thing you have to configure is whether or not you're running a threat intelligence profile, if that was included with your subscription. So that can be selected here. On the SSL, the workflow is actually the same as before. You're going to go through the SSL certificate management page to import your certificates. So you're going to import your certificate, your private key, and any intermediates. And then you're going to select that right here to say, this is the certificate I want to use with this proxy for SSL. So we select that here. Back end, we're going to go with the default. And again, you can then select the threat intelligence profile as well if you want to use that with this service. And once you've done that, you're going to click Save and Finish, and then that's then sent off for provisioning into the system. Okay, I'm now going to cover the dashboard. We've just provisioned a proxy. The proxy's been deployed, and now the system is gathering statistics from that proxy being in use, as well as gathering violation reports and such. And that's all gathered up into a dashboard that you can see as soon as you log into the system. So let's do that right now. Okay, so I've just logged into the portal. The proxies that we have configured have been running for some time, and we can see from this graph the traffic that's been traversing Silverline to the back-end servers, together with any violation information which has been noted. So we can see here we've got a graph showing the traffic for each of those proxies, breaking out SSL and HTTP unencrypted separately, together with information about the unreviewed logs that we have. For the most part, these are going to be WAF violations which have been noted. together with the nature of those violations in summary form here. We'll be going into that in more detail later. We also see the number of policies which have been deployed, as well as information about any support tickets that may have been opened. Now with WAF Express, you get email support and telephone support, but any interaction that may happen between the customer and the SOC, that will be shown here at the bottom. And with WAF Express, the SOC was there to help you use the portal to the best degree. Now, the other thing that I want to point out here is that we've got a note at the top saying we don't have the DDoS service enabled. What that's talking about is a DDoS service over and above the 1.5 gigabits of protection that we actually give you with WAF Express out of the box. If you do buy that service, obviously that message goes away, but you then also gain access to other parts of the portal to show you all of the details about volumetric protection as well. We can also take a look here at violations by geography, and this will now show us the volume of violations by country color-coded. As we can see here, the United Kingdom has been a particularly naughty boy this week. Anyway, let's go back to here. We're also going to have a look at some more details. When we click on the more details, what we're now going to look at is the number of client connections which have come through over time. And we can look at that for either all of the ports that we have, or we can look at individual proxies that we have running for each of the different port types. So for example, here, we've got the Silverline WAF Express, which has been running. We can now see the number of client connections over time for the different ports. We can see that in summary form, or we can actually drill into the individual services. So we can have a look here for SSL, and we can have a look here for the HTTP. So we can see the number of bits per second that have been noted for these different proxies in a very, very clear format. You can also look at this over time as well. So you can actually look at whether you want to look at a week view, a day view, and such. So that's a very easy way for you to gather exactly the activity which has been seen around your service. Okay, so we just saw the dashboard, which gave us a high-level view of the activity around the servers that we're protecting. One thing I noted when we looked at that dashboard was the WAF violations. What we're now going to do is click through and actually have a look at the detail of those violations and how to deal with false positives and placing false positives onto a whitelist. So let's go and have a look at that now. Right, so we're back at the dashboard, and if we look on the right hand side here, we've got those WAF violations. So let's click onto that, and now it shows us the policy which is actually reporting those violations. So let's click onto that, and we're now taken through to a page where we actually get the detail of those violations. So what we're showing here is the individual ID for that particular violation, when that violation occurred, what happened when that violation occurred. Was it something where we would block or whether we would alert? We've got the client IP of the bad actor which has caused that violation, the URI that particular bad actor was trying to access. We then have a summary of the type of violation that it is, and then we also have the attack type. So for example, here it's showing us that it's HTTP protocol compliance failed. Now, we can get more details on this by simply clicking into that support ID. And then we can come through and we can see, obviously, the destination IP it's hitting, the port that it's hitting, the source port, the locale from which the bad actor was coming, as well as other supporting information as well. We can actually look inside the request itself. So all the various details are shown right inside here, but you may decide, no, that is in fact valid, and I want the system to allow that particular actor through the next time. And that's easy to actually accomplish. You're going to click onto the specific support ID, and you're going to click false positive. And then you'll get a message saying that this will now be added to the whitelist. So it's as simple as that. We also support the ability to do multiple clicks onto the different support IDs as well. So you don't have to go through and hit false positive for each one. You can actually do them in batches. So a very easy way for you to identify what the violations are and to clean up any false positives that you may see. As part of the information gathering exercise that we do when we get a WAF violation, one of the items that we pick up is the geolocation. So for every WAF violation that comes in, the IP address is looked up in a database that we maintain of a correlation between that IP address and their locale in the world. So let's go take a look at that now. So part of the richness in reporting that we have, we've shown a little bit on the dashboard view where we showed the violations by geography and we're showing the past 24 hours, but you can also drill down on that and actually get a customized view as well as some more information, including a leaderboard. So what I'm showing you here is the view over the past day, but I can also look to see how the landscape of threats from their geographical source has changed over time. So I can now drill in and actually see a week view, for example, or a 1 month view, and actually get a full picture of exactly of the nature of the threats as they've evolved over time. I can also do a mouse over for each country and actually get a greater view in terms of the exact number of violations that I can see. And they're also color coded as well on the scale down here, where blue means we've seen a violation, red means they are leading the number of violations for the particular view that you see. And obviously if they're in white here or a little off gray, this indicates that there haven't been any violations noted from that specific country. Okay, so we took a look a moment ago at the WAF violations and how to deal with a false positive. And that view that we saw was looking at every single violation and the bad actor that was involved. And so there was a one-to-one mapping between the violation and a line item that showed up. But what if I actually want to see the violations over time so I can actually get an idea of the attack types that we're actually seeing inside of Silverline for the server that we're protecting for you? Let's go take a look at that right now. Okay, so this is where we last left it. We're looking at the WAF violations geography view. Let's now go and have a look at the WAF violations summary. So the WAF violations summary page is now going to bring together all of the attack types and then summarize for each. And so now we've got the violations which are summarized, the attack type that's summarized. So now rather than seeing every single violation in time order together with the individual bad actor, that's now been pre-filtered for you. So we can now come through and see, well, okay, I want to look at everybody who has issued a request that's resulted in an HTTP protocol compliance failed error, together in this particular case of an illegal HTTP status in the response. So let's click through onto that. And now we'll get through to a page that's been pre-filtered for that violation type, showing now the different individual support IDs and the client IPs, URIs, violations and such. And from here, of course, you can now click false positive in the event that that is the case. So a very easy way for users to go around and navigate and see the nature of the attack landscape and how it evolves over time. Now, throughout this demonstration, we've really been focusing around WAF and WAF violations. It's something I always call the dashboard of doom. You log into the system and you're really looking at a lot of information as it pertains to things that Silverline has done to protect the servers which are behind your proxy. However, we also get a lot of visibility into the traffic. For example, when we are terminating SSL, we get to look into the handshake information, and if we're terminating with HTTP, we can also look into the handshakes that occur there. So you can see that we have a huge resource of information which we're now able to expose through the portal, so you can look at trending information, so you can look at cipher information that you can use in your daily planning of how you run those protected resources. So let's go and take a look at that now. Right, so we're back here at the dashboard. What I'm going to do is go up here to the Monitor and Analyze menu and go into the Web Traffic Report. Now, as I was saying, we actually see into all of the handshakes that occur as they traverse the Silverline service. So we're able to pick up a good deal of information. And so for both IPv4 and for IPv6, we actually see the volumes of queries that we get coming through for example, HTTP GET operations, HTTP POST operations, and so we can actually see the ratios of those and we're able to plot them. We're also able to see HTTP version information, so we give you a summary of that on this side. We also allow you to zoom in on this data, so you can actually just highlight the area you need. and then you're taken into a more granular view of that data. Everything's color-coded, as you can see. So for example, here at noon, you can see the number of get operations, post operations, error operations and responses. Now that's something which is very, very interesting to administrators, because it's very, very difficult sometimes to identify server errors or indeed client errors as they occur, but they are picked up through this, and they can be filtered as well. So I can actually turn off all the information I'm not interested in to actually find out when any server errors occurred. And so if that occurs, I can then use that time information to go back into my server logs to identify exactly what the nature was. A very easy way to find out that information with great clarity, something you perhaps wouldn't see otherwise if you had to trawl through logs. We also get performance information as well. So we actually see response size information. As you can see here in this particular instance, all the responses coming from the server were of 1K TCP size in nature, but you can also see whether or not that is perhaps the best performance that you may want to use for the clients that you're serving. Error information as well is also shown. So again, this is showing both server and client errors over time. As you can see here, we had some client errors which came in around 8 o'clock in the evening UTC. Again, that you could go into your server logs having a much better idea exactly what you're looking for in order to understand exactly what the nature of that error is. So a great wealth of information is carried within the Silverline portal, and we'll be showing you more of that in just a moment in some other areas. So we've been talking about web traffic. Another area we want to look at and examine is the SSL analysis. So I've been talking about handshakes. Of course, a growing amount of traffic on the web is in fact SSL encrypted. We're doing the termination within Silverline, and that allows us to get a good deal of visibility into both client and server behavior, and indeed the encryption analysis, so that you can use that again in your planning. We'll talk about that in a moment. So here we go. Okay, so I'm starting off here at the dashboard. From here, I'm going to hit Monitor and Analyze. I'm going to hit Stats, and then I'm going to go into the SSL area. So the SSL area, we're going to show you the volume of SSL handshakes that we've observed over time. And here, of course, you're looking for secure handshakes, but also the number of handshakes rejected, because this will indicate, for example, that the client and the server were unable to negotiate a secure session. And that perhaps is because the client didn't support the encryption types that you are using with the cipher suites. We also look at the overall traffic volume as well. So you can see here that we've had an upswing in volume here around, I guess, noon or so. We can zoom in to get more information on that as well. So we can see here an exact count of the number of handshakes, as well as the number of megabytes, which can be attributed to both IPv4 and IPv6 inbound and outbound SSL traffic. Now, the most exciting use case, I think, with this is really looking at the key exchanges and ciphers, because we have customers that say, you know what, I really want to use the very latest ciphers. However, I'm not sure what impact that will have on my clients. And so what we do is that whenever there is a handshake that occurs, we make a note as to the cipher that was agreed to between the client and the proxy. That is then noted in this graph here, so you can see the exact number. In this case, we've got AES and AES-GCM, which are both strong ciphers, but you may have other weaker ciphers in there where you think, well, I really would like to retire those, but exactly how many customers are actually using those? And so we can provide you with that data. We provide this data both in this time series, so you can see how that trends over time, as well as giving you summary information on the right-hand side. We also gather some other information as well. So for example, here we show you the TLS versions which are being supported. Everything looks good here. We're using TLS 1.2, but we can also show you TLS 1.1 and other versions as time moves on, as well as the message digest usage over time as well. Now, one of the best premium add-ons to WAF Express, and indeed WAF Managed, is the ability to have threat intelligence. Threat intelligence is the ability of Silverline to block bad actors based on their IP reputation. This can be customized in the service, and bad actors can be blocked as soon as they attach to the service, and we then report back on that through the portal. So let's go and have a look and see how that's configured and how it's reported on now. Okay, so we're now going to take a look at the threat intelligence profiles, both the configuration and for reporting. So from the dashboard here, we're going to go and select threat intelligence profiles, and we will then be presented with a list here of any configured threat intelligence profiles. We have one that's already been configured, so we're going to take a look at that. We show the name of it, of course, the behavior it's going to adopt should any client IP match any of these categories, and then we also have the proxies which are currently using this particular profile. We can go in and take a look at this one. We've got the name of the profile, as I previously said. Perhaps the biggest thing here is what do you want it to do when a client IP matches any of these categories. So we either allow it and we just log it, and we'll be looking at the logging for that through the reporting area in a moment, or we can block it. And then once I then click the save button, this will then be applied to the proxies which are using this threat intelligence profile. If you remember, I pointed that out during the proxy configuration at the beginning of this video. These are the different categories that we currently support. So anything matching an anonymous proxy, a botnet, cloud provider network, denial of service, illegal websites, infected sources, phishing proxies, scanners, spam sources, web attacks, and web exploits. So any IP address that's recognized to be a source of any of this, those will be blocked by the service, or we'll allow it through and just log it for you. So anyway, in a moment, we'll go and have a look at the reporting side. Okay, so from here, we're going to go to the Monitor and Analyze menu, and then we're going to have a look at Threat Intelligence. And we're now brought into a rendering of any of the violations which have been picked up by nature of their IP reputation. As you can see, we have a few here at the end of December, so we can zoom in on this particular area. And now we're shown that we have indeed three categories which have been flagged. We have Windows exploits, spam sources, and scanners. We can actually see the exact quantity of the number of requests that were blocked or the number of requests that were accepted but then logged, which fit into these different categories. We also give you that in a summary view on the right hand side, so you can just see the volume. As you can see, scanners is by far and away the biggest kind of threat that we're noting. And then below that, we actually give you a tabular view showing the exact source IP that was picked up, the IP address of the proxy it was hitting, the category, the proxy name, and the action that particular policy enacted. And this particular policy, all it's doing is noting that they came through. Bear in mind that the WAF is still active. So when something comes through and it's known to be a Windows exploit source, it still has to pass all of the WAF rules before it's even allowed to attach to any back-end resource that Silverline is protecting. Now, of course, we are in the area of security, and part of being in that area is to know exactly what happened and when. And so Silverline supports a very powerful auditing tool to let you know exactly what configuration changes have occurred in the system, along with any other information that you may need to know as part of your audit trail. So let's go have a look at that now. Okay, so I'm having a look here at the audit area of the product. We have an audit menu here. We're having a look at the activity log. And as you can see here, you have a filterable list of the various types of items which are cataloged and then preserved as part of this audit log. And so you can see here, anytime somebody logs in, that is noted. We also note anytime there has been an update to one of the policies and then who did that update. If somebody updated some of the back-end information, anything to do with the proxy, that will all be logged here. So if you ever have a problem, or indeed you're just doing a routine audit, you can come through and actually pull out all the relevant information from inside of this log. Well, let's talk about some customized rules. Now, 99% of everything a customer may want to do is included as part of the portal, but there may be some things the customer may want to do, such as categorizing certain kinds of clients or URIs to get certain kinds of behavior. Now, one of the things we have in the managed product is the ability to build iRules for customers. The iRules, of course, is the technology that Big IP uses to do customized traffic processing. Now within Express we offer a smaller version of that which you can configure right through the portal. So let's go take a look. Okay, so I'm back at the dashboard again. Configure, proxy management, and we can have a look at iRule management. So I come into the iRule management area. I'm then going to be shown a list of any iRules which have been deployed. Well, I don't have any deployed, but I do have one in the wings here. So let's go and have a look at one that I did earlier. So let's click into that for the, this is basically a blocking rule. And what we're trying to do here is block a specific type of URI. So you can identify from this that this is actually going to block anything that contains this as part of the URI. Now, we can actually go and see how that's built, because if you look at this iRule, it does look a little complicated. So we've simplified it within the constructs of WAF Express. So I come through here and I say I want to use the iRule editor, and I'm now given a much simplified manner of creating these rules. I simply give it a name, so it's like an iRule name. I then specify, what exactly do I want to match on? Do I want to match on a method? Do I want to match on a URI? Do I want to match on perhaps some contents of a header? I can go through and specify all of this in here. I can do regular expressions. I can do whether the URI matches a specific string or contains it, or starts with it, or ends with it. And then lastly, I'll specify what the behavior is. And typically the action would be, I just want to log it, or taking no action. I may want to drop it, or I may want to close the connection. So these are the typical things that customers want to be able to do where they find that the policy doesn't cover the specific thing they want to do, in which case they can come through in here and create a special rule for it. Okay, so that covers all of the main aspects of WAF Express. If you'd like to know more, please go to f5silverline.com. That will give you information both about the managed offering. It'll also cover the Express offering, as well as telling you more information about our DDoS protection service. So visit f5silverline.com, and thank you very much.